Ambassador Hansumi walked through the cold metal halls of Kepler Prime Station. Her boots made sharp sounds on the floor. She had received an urgent message from the Galactic Council 2 hours ago. The message was short but scary. Come now. Important matter about humans. The station was huge. Different alien species walked around doing their business. Some looked like giant lizards. Others were made of crystal that sparkled under the lights. All of them stared at Han as she passed. She was the only human on the station. The council chamber was a big round room. 47 different alien leaders sat in a circle. Their translator devices made strange buzzing sounds. At the center sat Overlord Thex-9, the leader of the Vorthak Empire. His yellow eyes focused on Han like a snake watching a mouse. Human representative, Thex-9 spoke. His voice was cold and rough. Your species has broken our rules. Han stood straight and calm. She had trained for this moment for years. What rules? Humans have followed all agreements we signed. A crystal being called Nexus Prime made a sound like breaking glass. The controlled growth protocol. Your species expands too fast. Too many new worlds. Too many new ships. We have 12 colonies, Han said. That is not many compared to your empires. It is not about numbers, Thex-9 replied. It is about speed. You have gone from 1 world to 12 worlds in 50 years. This breaks the ancient law. No young species can grow this fast. Han felt cold fear in her stomach. She had heard rumors about this law. Old species used it to control new ones. What do you want from us? Thex-9 stood up. He was 3 meters tall and covered in dark scales. Humans will leave all colonies outside your home system. You have 30 Earth days. If you refuse, the First Fleet will make you leave. The room went silent. Han knew about the First Fleet. It was the largest military force in the galaxy. Over 2,000 warships from different species. No one had ever survived fighting against it. How many ships? Han asked. 2,400 ships, Nexus Prime answered. Your 400 ships cannot win. Han looked around the room. Every alien face showed the same thing. They had already decided. This was not a discussion. It was a threat. I will take your message to Earth, Han said. Good. Thex-9 smiled, showing sharp teeth. 30 days. No more. Han left the station on the next transport ship. The journey to Earth took 6 days. She spent the time writing her report and thinking about what would happen next. Humans had never backed down from a fight. But this fight seemed impossible to win. Earth's moon housed the headquarters of the Terran Defense Force. Admiral Park Hyun-woo sat in the main meeting room with his top officers. Han had just finished reading the Council's ultimatum. The room was quiet for a long time. 2,400 ships, Park said slowly. Against our 400. Captain Kim Dobbin looked at the star charts on the table. Even if we use all our ships, including cargo vessels and mining ships, we have maybe 600 total. Their ships are bigger too, added Captain Oh Yoo-jin. A Vorthak heavy cruiser has more firepower than 3 of our battleships. Park stood up and walked to the big window. Earth looked peaceful and blue below them. Millions of people lived down there. They trusted him to protect them. What about the colonies? Park asked. 12 worlds with a total population of 40 million people. Han answered. Most are mining operations or farming worlds. A few have small defense stations. Dr. Lee Woo-jin had been quiet during the meeting. He was a thin man with gray hair who ran the military research division. Now he cleared his throat. Admiral, there might be another option. Everyone looked at him. Lee was known for being very careful with his words. If he had an idea, it was worth hearing. Project Thunderbolt, Lee said. We have been working on it for 10 years in secret. Park raised an eyebrow. I have never heard of this project. Only 5 people knew about it. We based it on technology found in an old alien ship 20 years ago. The ship was very advanced but completely dead. We learned how to build electromagnetic railguns. Captain Kim leaned forward. Railguns? Those are old Earth weapons. These are different, Lee explained. They can shoot projectiles at 15% of light speed. The kinetic energy is enormous, much more powerful than plasma cannons or fusion missiles. How many ships can we equip? Park asked. We have built enough systems for 180 ships. Installation takes about 2 weeks per ship. The room went quiet again. Everyone was thinking about the same thing. 180 ships with new weapons against 2,400 alien ships with proven technology. What are the chances? Park asked. Lee looked uncomfortable. Unknown. We have never tested them in real combat. The theory says they should work very well against alien shields, but theory is not the same as reality. Colonel Yoon Hae-won spoke for the first time. She ran military intelligence. Admiral, I have information about the First Fleet. They always use the same tactics. Big formations designed to overwhelm enemies with superior numbers and firepower. Go on, Park said. They have won every battle for the last 1,000 years using the same methods. They might not expect something completely different. Park walked back to the table. He looked at each officer in turn. These people were the best humanity had. If they could not win, no one could. Here is what we will do, Park said. Dr. Lee, start installing railgun systems immediately. Focus on our fastest and most maneuverable ships. Captain Kim, your ship gets the first installation. Colonel Yoon, I need everything you can find about First Fleet tactics and weaknesses. What about the ultimatum? Han asked. Park smiled for the first time since the meeting started. We will give them an answer. Just not the one they expect. 2 days later, Captain Kim stood on the bridge of her ship, the UES Taeguk. Engineers were installing the new railgun system in the main weapons bay. The work was dangerous and difficult. One mistake could destroy the entire ship. Engineer Choi Min-ho supervised the installation. He had helped design the railgun system. The magnetic coils are aligned perfectly, he told Kim. We should be ready for testing tomorrow. Kim looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the First Fleet was gathering. In 26 days, they would come to destroy humanity's colonies. Maybe they would destroy Earth too. But humans had surprised their enemies before. They had survived ice ages and wars and diseases. They had traveled to the stars when everyone said it was impossible. Kim touched the new weapon controls on her command chair. The railgun was humanity's secret weapon. Soon they would find out if it was enough to save them all. 3 weeks before the deadline, human space was very busy. Ships moved between worlds carrying supplies and people. Everyone knew about the ultimatum now. Some families were leaving the outer colonies. Others refused to go. Dr. Lee Woo-jin stood in his secret laboratory deep under the moon's surface. The room was full of strange machines and computer screens. In the center sat a piece of black metal the size of a car. This was what remained of the ancient alien ship they had found 20 years ago. Tell me about the ship again, said engineer Choi Min-ho. He was installing railgun systems across human space, but he wanted to understand the technology better. Lee touched the black metal. It was warm even after all these years. We found it in the Kuiper Belt, drifting dead. The ship was millions of years old. The aliens who built it were called the Ancients. They were more advanced than any species we know today. What happened to them? We think the current Galactic Council species destroyed them. The ship showed signs of massive battle damage. Energy weapons that burned through hull armor like paper. Choi looked at the ancient metal. But they had railguns? Better than railguns. Their kinetic weapons could shoot projectiles at 30% of light speed. We can only manage 15% with our technology. Why kinetic weapons? Energy weapons seem more advanced. Lee smiled. That is what the Council species think too. But kinetic energy has advantages. It cannot be blocked by energy shields. It travels in straight lines that are hard to dodge. And the faster it goes, the more damage it does. On the other side of human space, Colonel Yoon Hae-won read intelligence reports in her office. The information was not good. Her spies in neutral space had learned more about the Galactic Council's history. Commander Kang Jun-seo knocked on her door. He commanded the stealth ship Silent Arrow. His ship had the best sensors in the human fleet. Colonel, I have new information from my reconnaissance mission. Yoon looked up from her reports. What did you find? The First Fleet is assembling at coordinates I sent you, but it is bigger than we thought. I counted 2,400 ships, just like they said. But there are also support vessels. Maybe 3,000 ships total. Yoon felt her heart sink. Ship types? Mostly Vorthak heavy cruisers and Nixari crystal destroyers. But I also saw ships from 12 other species. They all use energy weapons and fusion missiles. Formation? Traditional wall of battle. Big ships in front, smaller ships supporting. Designed to overwhelm enemies with concentrated firepower. Yoon nodded. The same formation they have used for 1,000 years. Colonel, there is something else. I intercepted their communications. They are not just planning to remove us from the colonies. What do you mean? Kang looked uncomfortable. They plan to destroy our ability to build new ships. They want to make sure we can never threaten them again. Yoon stood up quickly. Are you sure? I recorded the transmission. Overlord Thex 9 was talking to his fleet commanders. He said humans are too dangerous to be allowed to keep their technology. Meanwhile, Captain Ou Jin prepared her ships for a special mission. She commanded a group of converted civilian vessels, cargo ships and mining ships that had been fitted with fake weapons. They would play an important role in Admiral Park's plan. Her ships looked like the main human battle fleet from a distance, but up close they were just civilian vessels with metal plates welded to their hulls. Still, they would fool the aliens long enough for the real plan to work. Lieutenant Nam Ki-tai worked at his station on the bridge of the UES Teguk. He was young but very good with sensors and tactics. Captain Kim trusted him to spot problems before they became dangerous. "Captain, the railgun installation is complete," Nam reported. "Engineer Choi says we can test fire tomorrow." Kim looked at the new weapon controls. They were simple compared to the plasma cannon systems, just a targeting screen and a firing button. "How many projectiles do we carry?" 500 tungsten core rounds. Each one weighs 50 kilograms and will travel at 15% of light speed when fired. Kim did the math in her head. At that speed, each projectile would hit with the force of a nuclear weapon. Range? Across an entire solar system. The projectiles will not slow down in space. Dr. Bae Yoon-soo solved the biggest problem with the railgun system. She was a quantum physicist who worked on communications. Her job was to make sure all the human ships could coordinate their attacks. "Quantum entanglement communication," she explained to Admiral Park. "We link particles on different ships. When one particle changes, its partner changes instantly, no matter how far apart they are. So our ships can coordinate attacks across vast distances." Exactly. The aliens use radio communications. Their signals take time to travel between ships. "Our quantum communicators work instantly," Park smiled. "That gives us a big advantage. There is more. We can also use quantum sensors to target enemy ships. They will not know we are aiming at them until we fire." 5 days before the deadline, Admiral Park held another meeting. This time, only his most trusted officers attended. The plan they discussed was dangerous and desperate, but it might be their only chance. "Operation Galileo," Park explained. "We will make the aliens think they are fighting a conventional space battle. Captain O's decoy fleet will engage them first. They will take heavy damage and appear to be losing. While the decoys fight, our railgun ships will move into position. We will use the asteroid fields and planetary magnetic fields to hide our approach. When the aliens think they are winning, we will strike from unexpected directions. If the railguns work as Dr. Lee promises, we should be able to destroy many of their ships quickly." Captain Kim raised her hand. "What if the railguns do not work?" "Then we die fighting," Park answered. "But at least we will surprise them. No species has ever stood up to the First Fleet before." Commander Shin Bora commanded one of the new railgun destroyers. Her ship, the Stormbringer, was fast and deadly. She had trained her crew for weeks on the new weapon systems. "The key is accuracy," she told her gunner. "Energy weapons can miss and still do damage. Railgun projectiles either hit or they do not. There is no middle ground." "How do we aim at something moving so fast?" the gunner asked. "Quantum targeting computers predict where the enemy will be when our projectile arrives. Trust the computer and shoot where it tells you." 2 days before the deadline, Colonel Yoon brought disturbing news to Admiral Park. Her intelligence network had learned more about the Galactic Council's plans. "They have done this 17 times before," she reported. 17 different species threatened with the same ultimatum. None of them survived. What happened to them? Complete destruction. The Council does not just want obedience. They want to make sure no young species can ever challenge their power. Park clenched his fists. They picked the wrong species this time. There is something else. "The ship Dr. Lee found, the one with the ancient technology? I think I know what happened to those aliens. Tell me." "They were probably the last species to fight back against the Council. Their technology was more advanced than anything we see today, but the Council still destroyed them." Park looked out at the stars. Tomorrow the First Fleet would arrive. Humanity would face the same choice as 17 other species: surrender or die. But humans had something the others did not have. They had learned from the ancients. They had built better weapons. And they had a plan that no one expected. The next morning, Captain Kim stood on her bridge as the UES Taeguk moved toward its position. Around her, 179 other ships did the same. Each one carried the hopes of the entire human race. "Quantum communicator is active," Lieutenant Nam reported. "We are linked to all other railgun ships. Weapon status? Railgun loaded and ready. Targeting computer online. Kim looked at the stars one last time. Somewhere out there, the largest fleet in galactic history was coming to destroy her people, but humans had always been good at surprising their enemies. All ships, this is Admiral Park, came the voice over the quantum communicator. Remember what we are fighting for. Not just our colonies, not just our lives. We are fighting for the right to exist as free people in this galaxy. Kim touched her weapon controls. Tomorrow would decide everything. 1 week remained before the deadline. Human space felt like a giant trap waiting to spring. Ships moved to their positions while families on the colonies watched the sky with fear and hope. Admiral Park stood in the command center on his flagship. The wall showed the positions of every human ship in the Kepler system. Red dots marked the locations of Captain O's decoy fleet. Blue dots showed where the real railgun ships were hiding. Final check on Operation Galileo, Park ordered. Captain O's voice came through the communicator. Decoy fleet ready, Admiral. 47 civilian ships fitted with fake weapons. From a distance, we look like your main battle force. Remember, Captain, you need to take damage but stay alive long enough for Phase 2 to work. Understood. My crews know what they signed up for. Park switched to another channel. Captain Kim, status of the railgun ships? 180 ships in position, Admiral. We are hidden in the asteroid field of the outer system. Quantum communicators linked and weapons ready. The plan was simple but dangerous. The aliens would see Captain O's decoy fleet defending the mining colony on Kepler 442b. They would attack using their standard tactics. While they focused on destroying the decoys, the real human fleet would attack from the sides and behind. Dr. Bay worked at her quantum communication station. The technology still seemed like magic to most people. Particles connected across space, sharing information instantly. All ships showing green status, she reported. Targeting computers synchronized. We can coordinate our attack across the entire solar system. Lieutenant Nam studied the long-range sensors from his position on the Teguk. Admiral, I am detecting massive energy signatures at the edge of the system. The first fleet is arriving. Park felt his heart beat faster. How many ships? Sensors show 2,400 combat vessels. They are in standard formation. Heavy ships in front, escorts on the flanks. Estimated time to reach the colony? At their current speed, 18 hours. Park activated the general communication channel. All human ships, this is Admiral Park, the enemy has arrived. Remember your training. Trust your weapons. Fight for humanity. Across the system, human crews prepared for battle. Some said prayers. Others checked their equipment one more time. All of them knew this might be their last day alive. Overlord Thex 9 stood on the bridge of his massive command ship. The vessel was 5 kilometers long and carried enough firepower to destroy a planet. Around him, the first fleet moved in perfect formation. Report on human defenses, he ordered. 47 ships defending the mining colony. His intelligence officer replied. Mostly older vessels with standard plasma weapons. They appear to be making a desperate last stand. Thex 9 looked at the tactical display. The human ships were arranged in a simple defensive line around the planet. It was exactly what he expected from a primitive species. How long until we reach optimal firing range? 16 hours, Overlord. Good. Send a message to the human commander. Offer them one last chance to surrender. The message reached Admiral Park 2 hours later. Park read it carefully before responding. His answer was short. Come and take them. Captain O received her final orders as the alien fleet approached. Her job was to make the aliens believe they were winning easily. Too easy and they might suspect a trap. Too hard, and her ships would be destroyed before the real attack could begin. All decoy ships prepare for battle, she announced. Remember, we need to look desperate but not helpless. Take damage but stay functional. Her weapons officer looked nervous. Captain, those alien ships have real weapons. How do we survive long enough to complete the mission? We use every trick we know. Evasive maneuvers, electronic countermeasures, and we trust that Admiral Park's plan will work. Commander Kang's stealth ship Silent Arrow watched the alien fleet from a safe distance. His sensors recorded everything about their formation and tactics. They are following the same pattern they always use, he reported to Admiral Park. Wall of battle formation. Heavy ships advance first, then spread out to surround the target. Weaknesses. Their formation is designed to concentrate firepower forward, but it leaves gaps on the flanks and rear. If someone could attack from those directions, they would be vulnerable, Park finished. Perfect. The alien fleet reached the outer edge of the Kepler system and began its final approach. Overlord Thex-9 was confident. His fleet had never lost a battle. The humans had shown courage by refusing to surrender, but courage would not stop fusion missiles and plasma cannons. Human ships detected at the colony, his sensor officer reported. They are moving to intercept us and let them come. Order all ships to prepare for battle. Captain O led her decoy fleet toward the advancing aliens. Her ships looked impressive from a distance, but she knew they would not last long in a real fight. The fake weapons and armor plating would fool sensors but not actual combat. All ships begin evasive maneuvers, she ordered. Make them work for every shot. The first exchange of fire lit up space with energy beams and explosions. O's ships took hits immediately. Their fake armor cracked and burned, but underneath, the civilian vessels kept flying. We are taking heavy damage, O reported to Admiral Park. But we are still operational. Hold your position as long as possible. Phase 2 begins in 6 hours. Deep in the asteroid field, Captain Kim watched the battle through her sensors. The decoy fleet was taking a beating, but Captain O was doing her job perfectly. The aliens were focusing all their attention on the fake human ships. Enemy formation analysis complete, Lieutenant Nam reported. They are using standard encirclement tactics. Heavy ships in the center, escorts moving to surround the planet. Kim studied the tactical display. The alien formation was exactly what they had hoped for. Concentrated firepower but poor mobility. Perfect targets for railgun attacks. Distance to optimal firing range, 4 hours at current approach speed. Engineer Choi made final checks on the railgun system. The magnetic coils were charged and ready. 500 tungsten projectiles waited in the loading chamber. Weapon status green, he reported. We can sustain rapid fire for 30 minutes before needing to recharge. Kim nodded. That should be enough. Dr. Bay monitored the quantum communication network as human ships moved into their final positions. The aliens had no idea that 180 warships were converging on their flanks and rear. All railgun ships report ready for attack, she announced. Targeting computers have locked onto primary targets. Admiral Park watched the battle develop on his command screens. Captain O's decoy fleet had lasted longer than expected, but they were starting to break apart under alien fire. Soon the aliens would move in for the final assault. All railgun ships prepare for coordinated attack, Park ordered. Target priority is enemy heavy cruisers. Secondary targets are command ships. Across the asteroid field, human ships powered up their weapons. The railgun systems hummed with magnetic energy. In a few minutes, the aliens would discover that humans had more than courage to offer in this fight. Commander Shin checked her weapons one final time. The Stormbringer was one of the smallest ships in the human fleet, but her railgun could destroy vessels 10 times her size. Target acquired, her gunner reported. Vorthak heavy cruiser bearing 270, confirmed. Prepare to fire on Admiral Park's command. The alien fleet closed to point-blank range with Captain O's surviving ships. Overlord Thex-9 prepared to give the order for the final assault. His victory was certain now. The humans had fought bravely but uselessly. All ships prepare for... His words were cut off by an alarm from his sensor station. Overlord. Multiple contacts emerging from the asteroid field. Unknown ship types approaching at high speed. Thex-9 stared at his tactical display in shock. Dozens of human ships were appearing from nowhere, approaching his fleet from 3 different directions. How many ships? 180 vessels. They were hidden in the magnetic interference of the asteroid field. For the first time in his long military career, Overlord Thex-9 felt uncertainty. The humans had just revealed that their desperate defense was actually an elaborate trap. Admiral Park's voice cut through. Space on all communication frequencies. Attention. First Fleet, you came here to destroy us. Instead, you will learn why humanity should never be underestimated. All railgun ships, fire at will. The space around Kepler 442b suddenly filled with invisible death traveling at 15% of the speed of light. The first railgun volley struck the First Fleet like invisible hammers from the gods. 180 tungsten projectiles, each traveling at 45,000 kilometers per second, slammed into alien ships with devastating results. Commander Shin's target, a massive Vorthak heavy cruiser, simply vanished. The railgun projectile punched through its energy shields without slowing down. When 50 kilograms of metal hits at 15% of light speed, the kinetic energy equals a nuclear explosion. The cruiser became an expanding ball of plasma and debris. Direct hit. Her gunner shouted, "Target destroyed." Around the Stormbringer, other human ships were reporting similar results. The aliens' energy shields, designed to stop plasma bolts and fusion missiles, could not handle pure kinetic force moving at relativistic speeds. Captain Kim watched her tactical display in amazement. In the first 30 seconds of battle, the human fleet had destroyed over 60 alien ships. The railguns were working even better than Dr. Lee had promised. "Reload and target the next cruiser," she ordered. "Fire when ready." Lieutenant Nam coordinated targeting data across the quantum communication network. "Captain, we have achieved complete tactical surprise. The aliens are not responding effectively to our attack." On the bridge of his command ship, Overlord Thex 9 stared at his battle display in shock. 60 ships lost in half a minute. His communications channels were full of panicked reports from his surviving captains. "Energy shields are useless against these weapons. They are firing from impossible range. My entire squadron is gone." Thex 9 tried to understand what was happening. The human weapons seemed to be kinetic projectiles, but they were traveling far faster than any kinetic weapon should be able to move. "Science officer, analysis of enemy weapons. Unknown technology, Overlord. Pure kinetic energy at approximately 15% of light speed. Our shields cannot stop them. Recommended response? Immediate retreat to minimum safe distance." Thex 9 felt rage burning in his chest. His fleet had never retreated from any enemy, but he was losing ships faster than he could count them. "All ships, emergency turn to starboard. Increase distance from human vessels." But the First Fleet was caught in a terrible position. Their tight formation, perfect for overwhelming a weaker enemy, made them easy targets for the railgun ships. They could not turn quickly without colliding with each other. Admiral Kwan led the flanking attack from the system's edge. His group of 40 railgun ships caught the alien escorts completely by surprise. The smaller alien vessels had been moving to surround Captain O's decoy fleet when invisible death struck them from behind. "This is like shooting fish in a barrel," Kwan reported to Admiral Park. "They cannot see our projectiles coming and cannot stop them when they arrive." Captain O's surviving decoy ships suddenly found themselves winning the battle. The alien ships that had been destroying them moments before were now exploding one by one as railgun projectiles found their targets. "All decoy ships pursue the enemy," O ordered. "Keep them focused on us while the railgun ships reload." Dr. Bay monitored the quantum communication network as reports flooded in from across the battlefield. The human ships were coordinating their attacks with precision that the aliens could not match. "Railgun ships report 90% hit rate," she announced. "Enemy formation is breaking apart." The Nexari crystal ships tried to respond to the human attack by firing their plasma cannons at maximum range, but they had no targets. The railgun ships were too far away and moving too fast for the aliens to track. Nexus Prime, the crystal being who led the Nexari fleet, made a desperate decision. "All Nexari ships ramming speed. If we cannot shoot them, we will crash into them." But the human ships were already moving to new positions. The quantum communicators allowed them to coordinate maneuvers instantly across vast distances. By the time the crystal ships reached their target coordinates, the humans were gone. Engineer Choi worked frantically to keep the railgun systems operating at maximum efficiency. The magnetic coils were heating up from repeated firing, but they were holding together. "Weapon temperature approaching critical levels," he reported to Captain Kim. "We need to reduce our rate of fire or risk system failure." "How much longer can we maintain current pace?" "Maybe 10 more minutes." Kim looked at her tactical display. In 15 minutes of battle, the human fleet had destroyed over 400 alien ships. But there were still 2,000 enemies left. "All railgun ships reduce firing rate to sustainable levels," Admiral Park ordered. "We need these weapons to keep working for the entire battle." Overlord Thex 9 finally managed to pull his surviving ships back to a safer distance. But the damage was already done. His mighty First Fleet was in ruins. Burning wrecks drifted through space where proud warships had been moments before. "Damage report," he demanded. 437 ships destroyed, 600 more damaged. Human casualties appear to be minimal. Thex 9 could not believe what he was hearing. In his worst nightmares, he had never imagined losing so many ships so quickly to such a small enemy force. "Order all ships to target the human vessels with everything we have. Use fusion missiles if plasma cannons cannot reach them." But the human ships were already adapting to this tactic. Their faster engines and quantum coordination allowed them to dodge incoming missiles while continuing their railgun attacks. Commander Kang's stealth ship provided real-time intelligence on alien movements. Admiral, enemy fleet is trying to reorganize. They are spreading out to make themselves harder targets. Let them spread out, Park replied. That just makes it easier for us to pick them off one by one. The battle continued for 3 more hours. Human railgun ships darted in and out of weapons range, striking the alien fleet and disappearing before the enemies could respond. The aliens' superior numbers meant nothing when they could not hit their targets. Captain Kim's ship had fired over 200 rounds when Lieutenant Nam detected a problem. Captain, enemy ships are starting to focus their fire on us. They have figured out which ships have the new weapons. Evasive maneuvers. Signal Admiral Park that we need support. Captain O's decoy fleet, reinforced by ships that had completed their railgun attacks, moved to intercept the aliens targeting the weapon ships. The fake human fleet had become real defenders. Sergeant Lim led a boarding party onto a disabled alien cruiser. His Marines wore full combat armor and carried weapons designed to work in space. Their mission was to capture alien technology and prisoners. Ship is mostly intact, Lim reported. Life support is failing, but some areas are still pressurized. The alien crew had abandoned most of the ship, but Lim's team found several survivors in the command center. The aliens were too shocked to resist capture. Secure the computer systems, Lim ordered. Command wants to know everything about their technology and tactics. As the hours passed, the First Fleet continued to shrink. The aliens tried every tactic they knew, but nothing worked against the human railgun ships. Energy weapons could not reach far enough. Missiles were too slow. Ramming attacks failed because the humans were too fast and maneuverable. Overlord Thex-9 faced the unthinkable truth. His fleet was being destroyed by a force 1/6 its size. Species across the galaxy would hear about this defeat. The Galactic Council's reputation for invincibility would be shattered. All remaining ships prepare for emergency retreat, he finally ordered. Sir, what about our mission? His second-in-command asked. The mission is over. If we stay here, every ship will be destroyed. But Admiral Park was not finished. All ships pursue the retreating enemy. Do not let them escape to bring reinforcements. The human fleet spread out across the system, hunting down fleeing alien ships. The railguns continued to fire, picking off stragglers and damaged vessels. What had started as a space battle had become a rout. By the end of the day, fewer than 400 ships remained of the mighty First Fleet. Over 1,800 vessels had been destroyed or captured. The survivors fled toward the edge of the system, carrying news of their incredible defeat. Captain Kim stood on her bridge, looking at the tactical display. The space around Kepler 442b was filled with debris from destroyed alien ships. Her own ship had taken only minor damage. Casualty report, she requested. 17 human ships destroyed, 43 damaged, Lieutenant Nam replied. Total human casualties, 412 killed, 800 wounded. Kim felt sadness for the human losses, but also amazement at what they had accomplished. Against impossible odds, humanity had won its first major space battle. Admiral Park's voice came over the communication system. All ships, this is Admiral Park. Today we have shown the galaxy that humanity will not be intimidated or destroyed. But this is only the beginning. The aliens will return with more ships and better tactics. He paused, looking out at the stars where human ships patrolled among the wreckage of their enemies. We must be ready for the next battle, because after today the entire galaxy will know that humans are not the helpless species they thought we were. In the distance, the surviving alien ships jumped to hyperspace, carrying news that would change galactic politics forever. The age of unchallenged alien dominance was over. The age of humanity had begun. News of the First Fleet's destruction traveled across the galaxy faster than light itself. On thousands of worlds, alien leaders gathered in emergency meetings. The impossible had happened. A young species had defeated the Galactic Council's greatest military force. President Seo Jun-ho stood before the United Nations Assembly on Earth. Representatives from every human colony watched on screens around the chamber. The mood was celebration mixed with uncertainty about what would come next. Fellow humans, Seo began. 3 days ago, our fleet achieved the greatest military victory in human history. We destroyed over 1,800 enemy ships while losing only 17 of our own. The assembly erupted in cheers. Seo waited for quiet before continuing, but we must not celebrate too much. This victory has made us many enemies across the galaxy. Other alien species will want to test our strength. We must be ready for bigger conflicts ahead. On Kepler Prime Station, the Galactic Council held its first emergency session in 300 years. Only 32 of the original 47 species attended. 15 had already withdrawn from the council after hearing about the defeat. Overlord Thex-9 stood before his former allies like a broken creature. His proud Vorthak Empire had lost over 600 ships in the battle. Many of his own people were calling for his removal from power. "The humans have weapons we do not understand," he reported. "Kinetic projectiles that travel at impossible speeds. Our energy shields cannot stop them." Nexus Prime's crystal form pulsed with angry light. "How is this possible? Our technology has dominated the galaxy for millennia." "Perhaps," said a new voice, "our technology has become too comfortable." Everyone turned to look at the speaker. Ambassador Dalrex represented the Corvani Federation, one of the oldest species in the council. His people had been spacefaring for over 50,000 years. "What do you mean?" Nexus Prime demanded. "We have used the same weapons and tactics for so long that we forgot there might be better ways to fight. The humans found one of those ways. Are you suggesting we negotiate with these primitives?" Dalrex's ancient eyes studied the assembled aliens. "I am suggesting that they are not primitives anymore. Any species that can destroy the First Fleet deserves our respect." Admiral Park received urgent communications from across human space. The victory at Kepler had inspired bold actions by human commanders everywhere. 3 mining companies had established new colonies beyond the original boundaries. 2 exploration fleets had pushed deeper into unexplored space. "Admiral," Captain Yu He-jin reported from her courier ship, "I have delivered your messages to Vorthak, Nexari, and Corvani Space. All 3 species have agreed to receive human diplomatic missions. Their responses? Mixed. The Vorthaks are angry but willing to talk. The Nexari want to study our technology. The Corvani seem genuinely interested in peace." Park studied the star charts on his command screen. Human space had doubled in size since the battle, but expansion brought new dangers. The further humans spread, the more alien species they would encounter. Dr. Lee worked day and night to improve the railgun technology. The victory had given him access to captured alien equipment and computer databases. What he learned was disturbing. "Admiral, I have analyzed the alien technology," he reported to Park. "Their plasma weapons and fusion missiles are actually quite advanced. The problem is they have not changed their designs in thousands of years. Meaning, they stopped innovating. They became comfortable with their dominance and saw no need to improve. Humans have been building new weapons for our entire history. We never stopped looking for better ways to fight." General No In-sung commanded the new Terran Expeditionary Force. His job was to establish human military bases across the expanded territory. The work was dangerous because many alien species were still hostile to human expansion. "We need rapid deployment capabilities," he explained to President Seo. "The galaxy is a big place. If humans are threatened on one world, we must be able to respond quickly from another world. How many ships do you need?" "At least 500 railgun-equipped vessels, plus support ships for supplies and reinforcements." SEO looked at the budget projections. Building so many ships would require enormous resources. But after the Kepler battle, no human leader wanted to be caught unprepared again. "Approved. Construction begins immediately." Captain Kim led an exploration mission to the Galactic Core. Her ship, the UES Taeguk, had been upgraded with the latest railgun systems and quantum communicators. Behind her, a fleet of 50 ships pushed into regions no human had ever seen. "Long-range sensors are detecting massive energy signatures ahead," Lieutenant Nam reported. "Artificial structures. Definitely not natural." Kim studied the sensor data. Whatever was out there was huge, much larger than anything humans or the known alien species could build. Analysis. Unknown technology. Power output is off the charts. If I had to guess, I would say these structures are millions of years old. Kim felt excitement and fear in equal measure. Humanity was discovering that the galaxy held secrets far older and more dangerous than the Galactic Council. On Earth, Ambassador Han prepared for her return to Kepler Prime. But this time she would not be asking for permission or begging for mercy. She would be representing a major galactic power. "What are your instructions?" she asked President Seo. "Simple. Humanity demands recognition as an equal to any other species. We will not be restricted in our expansion or our technology development. Any attempt to threaten human worlds will be met with military force. And if they refuse, then we will show them what happened to the First Fleet can happen to any fleet. The meeting on Kepler Prime was very different from Han's last visit. This time she arrived with an escort of 12 human warships. The aliens who had once looked at her with contempt now watched her with nervous respect. The Galactic Council recognizes the sovereignty of human space, Dalrex announced. We also acknowledge humanity's right to defend itself and expand its territory. Han nodded politely. Humanity appreciates this recognition. In return, we offer peaceful trade and cooperation with any species that treats us as equals. What about military technology? Nexus Prime asked. Will humans share their kinetic weapons? That depends on whether alien species are willing to share their technology with us. Cooperation must work both ways. But not all aliens were ready to accept the new reality. In the outer rim of the galaxy, ancient species that had been sleeping for millennia began to wake up. Long-range sensors detected massive fleets moving through deep space toward the galactic core. Commander Shin brought disturbing news to Admiral Park. Sir, my reconnaissance missions have found evidence of major fleet movements in the outer rim. Ships using technology we have never seen before. How many ships? Unknown. But we are talking about thousands of vessels. Maybe tens of thousands. Park felt cold fear in his stomach. The First Fleet had been the known galaxy's greatest military force. If there were species out there with even larger fleets, estimated time until they reach human space? At their current speed, perhaps 2 years. But sir, these are not the same aliens we just fought. These ships are much more advanced. Dr. Lee confirmed Park's worst fears when he analyzed the sensor data. Admiral, these appear to be the same species that built the ancient ship we found. The ones that had technology superior to anything in known space. The ancients? I thought they were extinct. Maybe they were just sleeping. Or maybe they lived in parts of the galaxy we have never explored. Park looked at the star charts showing human expansion. In 1 year, humanity had gone from 12 colonies to over 50. Human ships patrolled space lanes that had been controlled by aliens for thousands of years. But now something much older and more powerful was moving toward them. Send messages to all human colonies, Park ordered. Begin immediate military preparations. Start building defensive stations and expanding our railgun production. Sir, should we warn the other council species? Park thought about this carefully. The aliens had tried to destroy humanity just months ago, but the approaching threat might be too big for any one species to handle alone. Yes. Send the data to all major alien powers. If these ancients are as dangerous as they appear, we will need allies to survive. Captain Kim's exploration fleet made a discovery that changed everything. Deep in an ancient star system, they found a massive structure orbiting a dead star. The structure was clearly artificial, but older than any known civilization. Analysis complete, Dr. Bay reported. The structure appears to be some kind of archive or library. It contains information about galactic history going back millions of years. Can we access it? The quantum computers are trying to translate the data. So far, we have learned that this galaxy has seen many cycles of war and peace. Species rise to dominance, then fall to younger species with better technology. Kim studied the ancient data scrolling across her screens. What happened to the species that built this? According to the records, they were destroyed by something called the Harbingers, ships that came from outside the galaxy and wiped out all advanced civilizations. When did this happen? The last entry is dated approximately 65 million years ago. Kim felt a chill run through her body. 65 million years ago was when the dinosaurs had died on Earth.